Yes. Chapter 14. Pythagorean Mathematics. This. Err. The numerical values of Hebrew, Greek, and Samaritan alphabets. The columns 1 through 8 at the top, going down. 1. Names of the Hebrew letters. 2. Samaritan letters. 3. Hebrew and Chaldean letters. 4. Numerical equivalents of the letters. 5. Capital and small Greek letters. 6. The letters marked with asterisks are those brought to Greece from Phoenicia by Cadmus. 7. Names of the Greek letters. 8. Nearest English equivalents to the Hebrew, Greek, and Samaritan letters. Note: when used at the end of a word, the Hebrew ta has the numerical value of 400, kaf 500, mem 600, nun 700, peh 800, zadi 900, and dotted alpha and a dashed aleph have a value of 1,000. All right. Concerning the secret significance of numbers, there has been much speculation. Though many interesting discoveries have been made, it may be safely said that with the death of Pythagoras, the great key to this science was lost. For nearly 2,500 years, philosophers of all nations have attempted to unravel the Pythagorean skein, but apparently none has been successful. Notwithstanding attempts made to obliterate all records of the teachings of Pythagoras, fragments have survived which give clues to some of the simpler parts of his philosophy. The major secrets were never committed to writing, but were communicated orally to a few chosen disciples. These apparently dared not divulge their secrets to the profane, the result being that when death sealed their lips, the arcana died with them. Certain of the secret schools in the world today are perpetuations of the ancient mysteries, and although it is quite possible that they may possess some of the original numerical formula, there is no evidence of it in the voluminous writings which have issued from these groups during the last 500 years. These writings, while frequently discussing Pythagoras, show in no indication of a more complete knowledge of his intricate doctrines than the post-Pythagorean Greek speculators had, who talked much, wrote little, knew less, and concealed their ignorance under a series of mysterious hints and promises. Here and there, the literary products of early writers are found enigmatic statements which they made no effort to interpret. The following example is quoted from Plutarch. The Pythagoreans indeed go farther than this and honor even numbers and geometrical diagrams with the names and titles of the gods. Thus they call the equilateral triangle head-born Minerva and Tritogenia, because it may be equally divided by 3 perpendiculars drawn from each of the angles, so the unit they term Apollo. As to the number 2, they have affixed the name of strife and audaciousness. And to that of 3, justice. For, as doing an inquiry is an extreme on the one side, the suffering one is an extreme on the other. Justice properly takes place in the middle between them. In like manner, the number 36, their tetracatus, or sacred quaternunion, these hyphens, quaternion, being composed of the first 4 odd numbers added to the first 4 even ones, as is commonly reported, is looked upon by them as the most solemn oath they can take, and called Cosmos, Isis, and Osiris. Earlier in the same work, Plutarch also notes, for as the power of the triangle is expressive of the nature of Pluto, Bacchus, and Mars, and the properties of the square of Rhea, Venus, Ceres, Vesta, and Juno, of the dodecahedron of Jupiter, so as we are informed by Adosius, Eudoxus, is the figure of 56 angles expressive of the nature of Typhon. Damn, wish I could have got that all out in one. Plutarch did not pretend to explain the inner significance of the symbols, but believed that the relationship which Pythagoras established between the geometrical solids and the gods was the result of images the great sage had seen in the Egyptian temples. Albert Pike, the great Masonic symbolist, admitted that there were many points concerning which he could secure no reliable information. In his Symbolism for the 32nd degree and 33rd degree, he wrote, "I do not understand why the 7 should be called Minerva, or the cube Neptune." Further on, he added, "Undoubtedly, the names given by the Pythagoreans to the different numbers were themselves enigmatical and symbolic, and there is little doubt that in the time of Plutarch the meanings these names concealed were lost. Pythagoras had succeeded too well in concealing his symbols with a veil that was from the first impenetrable without his oral explanation." The uncertainty shared by all true students of the subject proves conclusively that it is unwise to make definite statements founded on the indefinite and fragmentary information available concerning the Pythagorean system of mathematical philosophy. The material which follows represents an effort to collect a few salient points from the scattered records preserved by disciples of Pythagoras and others who have since contacted his philosophy. All right. Method of securing the numerical power of words. The first step in obtaining the numerical value of a word is to resolve it back into its original tongue. Only words of Greek or Hebrew derivation can be successfully analyzed by this method, and all words must be spelled in their most ancient and complete forms. Old Testament words and names, therefore, must be translated back into the early Hebrew characters, and New Testament words into the Greek. 2 examples will help to clarify this principle. The demiurgus of the Jews is called in English Jehovah, but when seeking the numerical value of the name Jehovah, it is necessary to resolve the name into its Hebrew letters. It becomes the Hebrew letters. And I can't go through all that. That's why there's a fucking chart. And if you read from right to left, and is read from right to left, the Hebrew letters are he, va, he, yod. And when reversed into the English order from left to right, read yod, he, va, he. By consulting the foregoing table of letter values, it is found that the 4 letters of this sacred name have been following numerical significance. Yod equals 10, he equals 5, va equals 6, and the second he equals 5. Therefore, 10 plus 5 plus 6 plus 5 equals 26, a synonym of Jehovah. If the English letters were used, the answer obviously would not be correct. The second example is the mysterious Gnostic Panthos Abraxas. For this name, the Greek table is used. Abraxas in Greek is Abraxas. A equals 1, B equals 2, P equals 10, A equals 1, E equals 60, A equals 1, and S equals 200. The sum being 365, the number of days in the year. The number furnishes the key to the mystery of Abraxas, who, in symbolic of the 365 eons or spirits of the days, gather together in one composite personality. Abraxas is symbolic of 5 creatures, and as the circle of the year actually consists of 360 degrees, each of the emanating deities is 1/5 of this power. 72, one of the most sacred numbers in the Old Testament of the Jews and in their Kabbalistic system. The same method is used in finding the numerical value of the names of the gods and goddesses of the Greeks and Jews. All higher numbers can be reduced to one of the original 10 numerals and the 10 itself to 1. Therefore, all groups of numbers resulting from the translation of names of deities into their numerical equivalents have a basis in one of the first 10 numbers. By this system, in which the digits are added together, 666 becomes 6 plus 6 plus 6, or 18, and this in turn becomes 1 plus 9, or plus 8, or 9. According to Revelation, 144,000 are to be saved. This number becomes 1 plus 4 plus 4 plus 0 plus 0 plus 0, which equals 9, thus proving that both the beast of Babylon and the number of the saved refer to man himself, whose symbol is the number 9. The system can be used successfully with both Greek and Hebrew letter values. Hebrew just went up a notch in my book. That's for me. I pretty much wrote it all off. Cool. The original Pythagorean system of numerical philosophy contains nothing to justify the practice now in vogue of changing the given name or surname in the hope of improving the temperament or financial condition by altering the name vibrations. There is also a system of calculation in vogue for the English language, but its accuracy is a matter of legitimate dispute. It is comparatively modern and has no relationship either to the Hebrew Kabbalistic system or to the Greek procedure. The claim made by some that it is Pythagorean is not supported by any tangible evidence, and there are many reasons why such a contention is unattainable. The fact that Pythagoras used 10 as the basis of calculation, while this system uses 9, an imperfect number, is in itself almost conclusive. Furthermore, the arrangement of the Greek and Hebrew letters does not agree closely enough with the English to permit the application of the number sequences of one language to the number sequences of the other. Further experimentation with the system may prove profitable, but it is without basis in antiquity. The arrangement of the letters and numbers is as follows: 1 through 9, and then you got A through I, J through R, S, and Z to the 8. You can look all that up later. The letters under each of the numbers have the value of the figure at the top of the column. Thus, in the word man, M-A-N, M equals 4, A equals 1, N equals 5, a total of 10. The values of the numbers are practically the same as those given by the Pythagorean system. Yeah, I don't trust it either. An introduction to the Pythagorean theory of numbers. The following outline of Pythagorean mathematics is a paraphrase of the opening chapters of Thomas Taylor's Theoretic Arithmetic, the rarest and most important compilation of Pythagorean mathematical fragments extant. The Pythagoreans declared arithmetic to be the mother of the mathematical sciences. This is proved by the fact that geometry, music, and astronomy are dependent upon it, but it is not dependent upon them. Thus, geometry may be removed, but arithmetic will remain. But if arithmetic be removed, geometry is eliminated. In the same manner, music depends upon arithmetic, but the elimination of music affects arithmetic only by limiting one of its expressions. The Pythagoreans also demonstrated arithmetic to be prior to astronomy, for the latter is dependent upon both geometry and music. The size, form, and motion of the celestial bodies is determined by the use of geometry, their harmony and rhythm by the use of music. If astronomy be removed, neither geometry nor music is injured, but if geometry and music be eliminated, astronomy is destroyed. The priority of both geometry and music to astronomy is therefore established. Arithmetic, however, is prior to all. It is primary and fundamental. Pythagoras instructed his disciples that the science of mathematics is divided into two major parts. The first is concerned with the multitude or the constituent parts of a thing, and the second with the magnitude or the relative size or density of a thing. Magnitude is divided into two parts: magnitude, which is stationary, and magnitude, which is movable, the stationary part having priority. Multitude is also divided into two parts, for it is related both to itself and to other things, the first relationship having priority. Pythagoras assigned the science of arithmetic to multitude related to itself, and the art of music to multitude related to other things. Geometry, likewise, was assigned to stationary magnitude, and spheres, spherics, used partly in the sense of astronomy, to movable magnitude. Both multitude and magnitude were circumscribed by the circumference of mind. The atomic theory has proved size to be the result of number, for a mass is made up of minute units, though mistaken by the uniformed for a single simple substance. Owing to the fragmentary condition of existing Pythagorean records, it is difficult to arrive at exact definitions of terms. Before it is possible, however, to unfold the subject further, some light must be cast upon the meanings of the words number, monad, and one. Monad signifies A, the all-including one. The Pythagoreans called the monad the noble number, sire of gods and men. The monad also signifies B, the sum of any combination of numbers considered as a whole. Thus, the universe is considered as a monad, but the individual parts of the universe, such as the planets and elements, are monads in relation to the parts of which they themselves are composed, though they, in turn, are parts of the greater monad formed of their sum. The monad may also be likened, C, to the seed of a tree, which, when it has grown, has many branches, the numbers. In other words, the numbers are to the monad what the branches of the tree are to the seed of the tree. From the study of the mysterious Pythagorean monad, Leibniz evolved his magnificent theory of the world atoms, a theory in perfect accord with the ancient teachings of the mysteries, for Leibniz himself was an initiate of a secret school. By some Pythagoreans, the monad is also considered D, synonymous with the one. Number is the term applied to all numerals and their combinations. A strict interpretation of the term number by certain of the Pythagorean excludes 1 and 2. Pythagoras defines number to be the extension and energy of the Pythagoras defines number to be the extension and energy of the spermatic reasons contained in the monad. The followers of Hippasus, I can't say his name, Hippasus, declared number to be the first pattern used by the demiurgus in the formation of the universe. The one was defined by the Platonists as the summit of the many. The one differs from the monad in that the term monad is used to designate the sum of the parts considered as a unit, whereas the one is the term applied to each of its integral parts. There are two orders of number, odd and even, because unity, or one, always remains indivisible. The odd number cannot be divided equally. Thus 9 is 4 plus 1 plus 4, the unity in the center being indivisible. Furthermore, if any odd number be divided into two parts, one part will always be odd and the other even. Thus, 9 may be 5 plus 4, 3 plus 6, 7 plus 2, or 8 plus 1. The Pythagoreans considered the odd number, of which the monad was the prototype, to be definite and masculine. They were not all agreed, however, as to the nature of unity or one. Some declared it to be positive because if added to an even negative number, it produces an odd positive number. Others demonstrated that if unity be added to an odd number, the latter becomes even, thereby making it the masculine to be feminine. Unity, or one, therefore was considered an androgynous number, partaking of both the masculine and the feminine attributes, consequently both odd and even. For this reason, the Pythagoreans called it evenly odd. It was customary for the Pythagoreans to offer sacrifices of an uneven number of objects to the superior gods, while to the goddesses and subterranean spirits an even number was offered. An even number may be divided into two equal parts, which are always either both odd or both even. Thus, 10 by equal division gives 5 plus 5, both odd numbers. The same principle holds true if the 10 be unequally divided. For example, in 6 plus 4, both parts are even. In 7 plus 3, both parts are odd. In 8 plus 2, both parts are again even. And in 9 plus 1, both parts are odd again. Thus, in the even number, however it may be divided, the parts will always be both odd or both even. The Pythagoreans considered the even number, of which the doad was the prototype, to be indefinite and feminine. The odd numbers are divided by mathematical contrivance, called the sieve of Aristophanes, into three general classes: incomposite, composite, and incomposite composite. The incomposite numbers are those which have no divisor other than themselves and unity, such as 3, 5, 7, 11, 13, 17, 19, 23, 29, 31, 37, 41, 43, 47, and so forth. For example, 7 is divisible only by 7, which goes into itself once, and unity, which goes into 7 times. The composite numbers are those which are divisible not only by themselves and unity, but also by some other number, such as 9, 15, 21, 25, 27, 33, 39, 45, 40, 51, 57, and so forth. For example, 21 is divisible not only by itself and by unity, but also by 3 and 7. The incomposite composite numbers are those which have no common divisor, although each of itself is capable of division, such as 9 and 25. For example, 9 is divisible by 3 and 25 by 5, but neither is divisible by the divisor of the other. Thus they have no common divisor. Because they have individual divisors, they are called composite. And because they have no common divisor, they are called incomposite. Accordingly, the term incomposite composite was created to describe their properties. Even numbers are divided into three classes: evenly even and evenly odd, and oddly odd. The evenly even numbers are all in duple ratio from unity. Thus, 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128, 256, 5, 12, and 10, 24. Cool, it's kind of like RAM. The proof of the perfect evenly even number is that it can be halved, and the halves again halve back to unity, as a half of 64 equals 32. A half of 32 equals 16. A half of 16 equals 8. A half of 8 equals 4. Half of 4 equals 2. Half of 2 equals 1. Beyond unity, it is impossible to go. Evenly even numbers possess certain unique properties. The sum of any number of terms, but the last term is always equal to the last term minus 1. Example, the sum of the first and second terms, 1 plus 2, equals the third term, 4 minus 1, or the sum of the first, second, third, and fourth terms, 1 plus 2 plus 4 equals 8, equals the fifth term, 16 minus 1. In a series of evenly even numbers, the first multiplied by the last equals the last. The second multiplied by the second from the last equals the last. And so on until in all... The second multiplied by the... Nope. Do it from the beginning. In a series of evenly even numbers, the first multiplied by the last equals the last. The second multiplied by the second from the last equals the last, and so on until in an odd series one number remains, which multiplied by itself equals the last number of the series, or in an even series two numbers remain, which multiplied by each other give the last number of the series. For example, 1, 2, 4, 8, 16 is an odd series. The first number, 1, multiplied by the last number, 16, equals the last number, 16. The second number, 2, multiplied by the second from the last number, 8, equals the last number, 16. Being an odd series, the 4 is left in the center, and this multiplied by itself also equals the last number, 16. The evenly odd numbers are those which, when halved, are incapable of further division by halving. They are formed by taking the odd numbers in sequential order and multiplying them by 2. By this process, the odd numbers 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11 produce the evenly odd numbers 2, 6, 10, 14, 18, 22. Thus, every fourth number is evenly odd. Each of the even odd numbers may be divided once as 2, which becomes 2 ones and cannot be divided further, or 6, which becomes 2 threes and cannot be divided further. Another peculiarity of the evenly odd number is that if the divisor be odd, the quotient is always even, and if the divisor be even, the quotient is always odd. For example, if 18 be divided by 2, an even divisor, the quotient is 9, an odd number. If 18 be divided by 3, an odd divisor, the quotient is 6, an even number. The evenly odd numbers are also remarkable in that each term is 1/2 of the sum of the terms on either side of it. For example, 10 is 1/2 of the sum of 6 and 14. 18 is 1/2 of the sum of 14 and 22. And 6 is 1/2 the sum of 2 and 10. The oddly odd or evenly even numbers are a compromise between the evenly even and the evenly odd numbers. Unlike the evenly even, they cannot be halved back to unity, and unlike the evenly odd, they are capable of more than one division by halving. The oddly odd numbers are formed by multiplying the evenly even numbers by 2 by the odd numbers above 1. The odd numbers above 1 are 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, and so forth. The evenly even numbers above 2 are 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, and so on. The first odd number of the series, 3 multiplied by 4, the first evenly even number of the series, gives 12. The first oddly odd number, the first odd number of the series, 3 multiplied by 4, the first evenly even number of the series, gives 12. The first oddly odd number, by multiplying 5, 7, 9, 11, and so forth by 4, oddly odd numbers are found. The other oddly odd numbers are produced by multiplying 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, and so forth, in turn, by the other evenly even numbers, 8, 16, 32, 64, and so forth. An example of the halving of the oddly odd numbers is as follows. Half of 12 equals 6. Half of 6 equals 3, which cannot be halved further because the Pythagoreans did not divide unity. Even numbers are also divided into 3 other classes. Fuck. Superperfect, deficient, and perfect. Superperfect or superabundant numbers are such as superperfect and superabundant numbers are such as have the sum of their fractional greater parts than themselves. Their fractional parts greater than themselves. For example, half of 24 is 12. A quarter of 6 is a third, equals 8. A sixth equals 4, a 12th equals 2, and a 24th equals 1. The sum of these parts, the sum of these parts, 12 plus 6 plus 8 plus 4 plus 2 plus 1, is 33, which is in excess of 24, the original number. Deficient numbers are such as, Deficient numbers are such as have the sum of their fractional parts less than themselves. For example, half of 14 equals 7, a seventh equals 2, and 14th equals 1. The sum of these parts, 1 plus 2 plus 1, is 10, which is less than 14, the original number. Perfect numbers are such as have the sum of their fractional parts equal to themselves. For example, half of 28 equals 14, a quarter equals 7, a seventh equals 4, a 14th equals 2, and a 28th equals 1. The sum of these parts, 14 plus 7 plus 4 plus 2 plus 1 equals 28. The perfect numbers are extremely rare. There is only one between 1 and 10, namely 6, one between 10 and 100, namely 28, one between 100 and 1,000, namely 496, and one between 1,000 and 10,000, namely 8128. The perfect numbers are found by the following rule. The first number of the evenly even series of numbers, 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, and so forth, is added to the second number of the series, and if an incomposite number results, it is multiplied by the last number of the series of evenly even numbers whose sum produced it. The product is the first perfect number. For example, the first and second evenly even numbers are 1 and 2. Their sum is 3, an incomposite number. If 3 be multiplied by 2, the last number of the series of evenly even numbers used to produce it, the product is 6, the first perfect number. If the addition of the evenly even numbers does not result in an incomposite number, the next evenly even number of the series must be added until an incomposite number results. The second perfect number is found in the following manner. The sum of the evenly even numbers 1, 2, and 4 is 7, an incomposite number. If 7 be multiplied by 4, the last of the series of evenly even numbers used to produce it, the product is 28, the second perfect number. This method of calculation may be continued to infinity. Perfect numbers, when multiplied by 2, produce superabundant numbers, and when divided by 2, produce deficit numbers. The Pythagoreans evolved their philosophy from the science of numbers. The following quotation from the Theoretic Arithmetic is an excellent example of this practice. Perfect numbers, therefore, are beautiful images of the virtues which are certain media between excess and deficit, and are not summits, as by some of the ancients they were supposed to be. And evil indeed is opposed to evil, but both are opposed to one good. Good, however, is never opposed to good, but to evils. Good, however, is never opposed to good, but to two evils at one and the same time. Thus, timidity is opposed to audacity, to both of which the want of true courage is common. But both timidity and audacity are opposed to fortitude. Craft also is opposed to fatuity, to both of which the want of intellect is common, and both these are opposed to prudence. Thus, too, profusion is opposed to avarice, to both of which illiberality is common, and both these are opposed to liberality. And in a similar manner in the other virtues, by all of which is evident that perfect numbers have a great similitude to the virtues, but they also resemble the virtues on another account, for they are rarely found, as being few, and they are generated in a very constant order. On the contrary, an infinite multitude of superabundant and diminished numbers may be found, nor are they disposed in any orderly series, nor generated from any certain end, and hence they have a great multitude to the vices, which are numerous, inordinate, and indefinite. I just don't understand why more people don't read these old crazy books. That was girthy, but not impossible to understand. You just fucking write it out. Table of the 10 numbers. How long's this been going? Well, maybe it gets easier. The table of 10 numbers. The following outline of the Pythagorean numbers is a paraphrase of the writings of Nicodemus, Theon of Smyrna, Proclus, Porphyry, Plutarch, Clement of Alexandria, Aristotle, and other early authorities. Monad 1 is so called because it remains always in the same condition, that is, separate from the multitude. Its attributes are as follows. It is called mind because the mind is stable and has preeminence. Hermaphrodism because it is both male and female. Odd and even for being added to the even, it makes odd, and to the odd, even. God because it is the beginning and end of all, but itself has neither beginning nor end. Good, for such is the nature of God. The receptacle of matter, because it produces the doad, which is essentially material. By the Pythagoreans, monad was called chaos, obscurity, chasm, Tartarus, Styx, abyss, lethe or lethe, atlas, axis, morpho, the name of Venus, and tower or throne of Jupiter, because the great power which abides in the center of the universe and controls the circular motion of the planets about itself. Monad is also called the germinal reason because it is the origin of all the thoughts in the universe. Other names given to it were Apollo because of its relation to the sun, Prometheus because he brought man light, Pyraleos, one who exists in fire, Geniture because without it no number can exist. Substance, because substance is primary cause of truth and constitution of symphony. All these because it is the primordial one. Between greater and lesser, the monad is equal. Between intention and remission, it is middle. In multitude, it is mean. And in time, it is now, because eternity knows neither past nor future. It is called Jupiter because he is father and head of the gods. Vesta, the fire of the home, because it is located in the midst of the universe and remains there, inclining to no side as a dot in a circle. Form, because it circumscribes, comprehends, and terminates. Love, concord, and piety, because it is indivisible. Other symbolic names for the monad are ship, chariot, Proteus, the god capable of changing his form, Mnemosyne, and Polyonymous, having many names. The following symbolic names were given to the doad: two, because it has been divided and is two rather than one, and when there are two, each is opposed to the other. Genius, evil, darkness, inequality, instability, movability, boldness, fortitude, contention, matter, dissimilarity, partition between multitude and monad, defect, shapelessness, indefiniteness, intermediateness, harmony, and tolerance, root, feet of, fountain, abounding, idea, top, phanies, opinion, fallacy, alterity, diffidence, impulse, death, motion, generation, mutation, division, longitude, augmentation, composition, communion, misfortune, sustentation. I can't say a word with the hyphen. Sustentation, imposition, marriage, soul, and science. I have to burn through it, man. I can't stop, because then I got to do it again or tomorrow. So it's just the way it fucking goes. In the book Numbers, W. Wynne Westcott says of the doad, it was called audacity, from its being the earliest number to separate itself from the divine one, from the adytum of God, nourished silence. As the Chaldean oracles say, as the monad is the father, so the doad is the mother. Therefore, the doad has certain points in common with the goodness of Isis, Rhea, Hove's mother, Phrygia, Lydia, Dindymene, Sybil, and Ceres. Erato, one of the muses, Dinah, because the moon is forked, Dictynia, Venus, Dion, Cytherea, Juno, because she is both wife and the sister of Jupiter, and Maia, the mother of Mercury. While the monad is the symbol of wisdom, the doad is the symbol of ignorance, for it exists in the sense of separateness, which sense is the beginning of ignorance. The doad, however, is also the mother of wisdom, for ignorance out of the nature of itself invariably gives birth to wisdom. The Pythagoreans revered the monad but despised the doad because it was the symbol of polarity. By the power of the doad, the deep was created in contradistinction to the heavens. The deep mirrored the heavens and became the symbol of illusion, for the below was merely a reflection of the above. The below was called Maya, the illusion, the sea, the great void, and it symbolized it. The Magi of Persia carried mirrors. From the doad arose disputes and contentions until, by bringing the monad between the doad, equilibrium was reestablished by the Savior God, who took upon himself the form of a number and was crucified between two thieves for the sins of men. The triad 3 is the first number actually odd, monad not always being considered a number. It is the first equilibrium of unities. Therefore, Pythagoras said that Apollo gave oracles from a tripod, as advised offer of libation 3 times. The key words to the qualities of the triad are friendship, peace, justice, prudence, piety, temperance, and virtue. The following deities partake of the principles of the triad: Saturn, ruler of time; Latona, cornucopia; Ophion, the great serpent; Thetis, Hecate, Polyhymna, a muse; Pluto, Triton, president of the sea; Tritogenia, Acleos, and the Fates, Furies, and Graces. The number is called wisdom because men organize the present, foresee the future, and benefit by experiences of the past. It is cause of wisdom and understanding. The triad is the number of knowledge, music, geometry, and astronomy, and the science of celestials and terrestrials. Pythagoras taught that the cube of this number had the power of the lunar cycle. The sacredness of the triad and its symbol, the triangle, is derived from the fact that it is made up of the monad and the doad. The monad is the symbol of the Divine Father and the doad of the Great Mother. The triad being made of these two is therefore androgynous and is symbolic of the fact that God gave birth to his worlds out of himself, who in his creative aspect is always symbolized by the triangle. The monad passing into the doad was thus capable of becoming parent of progeny, for the doad was the womb of Meru, within which the world was incubated and within which it still exists in embryo. Hold on. It might just be a good spot. Yeah. God, it just is. It's just a good spot because we're at the fact, the monad, the doad, symbolic of God, with himself, creative aspect. Yeah, I think I'm going to stop right there at 217. All right, that's it. I hate half chapter and shit.